Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? I've got, yeah, just going to try and get myself in screen properly here. Okay, so what have we got? We got my desktop. That's a bit weird, but that's going now. Okay, so I am here to just have a bit of a drop-in session. Sorry for the old kind of weird kind of intro there, but it's the first time I've done this. So let me just see if I can't. Let's see if we can just get rid of those edges on the background. There we go. Right, okay, folks. So I am here. How are we doing? I am just here to kind of just have a chat with you guys. Hopefully you are A-level chemistry students because that is what I am here to do. So who's here? Bolu, Cute, Ruggiero, Sanjana, Fahad, doing chemistry specimen paper right now. Well, I'm distracting you, Fahad. What's going on there? If I'm distracting you, you're not really focused on that specimen paper, are you? If you've got YouTube popping up. But good on you. Why not? Please clarify, what is a ketone and an aldehyde group? Well, ketone group and aldehyde group basically are the same. They're both this carbonyl group, C-double bondo. But a ketone group is where you've got that C-double bondo in the middle of a carbon chain, okay, where there's only one hydrogen attached to that carbon too. And an aldehyde is where it's just attached to the end of a carbon chain. That's the simplest I can put it. Sanjana, for biology, well, it's the same. It's chemistry, that ketone and aldehyde, but we're here to talk about chemistry. So if you're not doing chemistry, then none of this is going to be relevant to you guys. Multitasking, why not? Go over recrystallization. Well, that's a really important process, okay? In fact, I just did a revise with Rich on recrystallization, and in my course, then you've got the kind of method from start to finish, and you've got the pitfalls of it, the errors in it, because that's of course what they're going to ask you as well, and the examples of what types of things you need recrystallization for. So hey, Leo, how are we doing? How do I work out enthalpy of combustion if formation values are given and vice versa? Well, that's it. You just doesn't matter, okay? As long as you've got the equation at the top that you need to figure out, okay? That equation could be anything. It could be a neutralization, could be a combustion, could be a formation. Doesn't matter what that equation is, just because they've called it a name. What's important in the question is the information they give you, the data they give you. So if you give you formation values, it's arrows up. If it gives you combustion data, it's arrows down. You can do a little smiley face in the box if you want, so long as your top equation is balanced, okay? It could be a formation, could be anything, that top equation. It really doesn't matter. As long as you've got the formation or combustion information, that's all that matters. What past papers? Not all spec ones are available for OCR. Well, any of the exam papers for the new spec, we've only got access to 2 at the moment. The 2018 ones are being released on the 4th of May. So 3 past papers. But what was clever people at TT have done, at Taylor Tutors, is we've basically curated the other exam board papers for you. So we've got, say, if you're doing OCR, we've taken the EdXL and the AQA papers, and we've blanked out the questions that are irrelevant for your specification. So yeah, they're a little shorter, but all the questions that are left over are absolutely relevant. So we've tripled the access to past papers, new spec past papers for you guys, okay? And it's the same. We've done it for AQA, for OCR and EdXL, and we've done it for EdXL as well. So that's in our revision kit. And actually, I'm here to talk about the revision kit today because I know there's a few people that are either interested in the revision kit and how it helps you, or people who are already in the revision kit and want to know how best to use it. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the main part here today in this half an hour. Review of the Born-Haber cycle. It's just a big Hess's energy cycle, the Born-Haber cycle. Easiest way to do it, on the left-hand side, as you look at it. So yeah, your left-hand side, as you look at it, you've got your enthalpy of formation, and then all of the atomization and ionization energies and stuff like that. And on the right-hand side, the only thing you're going to have is the lattice enthalpy, okay? Or maybe that exothermic, that endothermic exothermic first ionization energy, okay? But essentially, that's what you're going to have there. The left-hand side equals the right-hand side. So if you flip that bottom left arrow, delta H formation, okay, if you flip that so it's now pointing upwards, and you'll see that in all Born-Haber cycles you look at, that bottom left arrow is pointing down. If you flip it and invert the value, the right-hand side and the left-hand side are equal. Okay, and all you have to do then, that's really simplifies the calculations that you have to do. So just be careful of obviously how many moles you use of each element. Okay, so if it's MgCl2, for example, you need to double the atomization for chlorine. You need to double the first electron affinity of chlorine, okay, because there's 2 of them in there. And the same for any metals you might have. If it's K2O, for example, you're going to need to double the atomization of potassium. You're going to double the first ionization energy of potassium, and so on and so forth. So just be careful. That's what, it's not a really complex thing to do, but it's just little errors in the calculation can send you way off. So yeah, just be really careful with those. Tips for Hess's cycle intermediates. As I said, if you got arrows down or arrows up, those intermediates at the bottom, you can put your signature in there if you want, or EMC equals MC squared or whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, you need to know what those intermediates are. For formation, it's just the elements in their standard states. For combustion, Hess's law cycles, it's the oxides of the elements. Usually it's, you know, combustion ones are based in fuels and stuff, but you know, you're going to get carbon dioxide and water and stuff like that. But you know what, genuinely, it doesn't matter what you write in the bottom, okay? Unless the question's asking you to construct one, then it's important to put it in. But if all you're concerned with is actually calculating delta H, then it doesn't matter what you put in the bottom box. As long as your top equation is balanced and obviously you multiply up all your values by the right amounts, then you're laughing. Leo, electron affinity, just a statement, okay? Isn't electron affinity on the right hand side? Yeah, electron affinity is on the right hand side. I mean, technically, yes and no. I mean, you get your first electron affinity, which, sorry, your second electron affinity may be endothermic. Yes, your second electron affinity may be endothermic, but you know what? Literally, you're building up and up and up to that. What is it? Endothermic, exothermic. So yeah, your first electron affinity is exothermic. So yeah, that technically is on the right hand side as well. For the rates unit, I'm worried that you're using the wrong technique to work out rate or something. Any tips? Rates. I mean, is it the rates equation? Is it finding orders of reaction? What are you talking about there, Sean? Cr3 plus ions, green or violet? Violet. I learned oxidation is green and ligand precipitation it's violet. Yeah, you know what is a huge bugbear for me, this, the colors of transition metal ions. My advice is just go with what your well, obviously what the ultimate guide says, but equally what it says in the official EdXL or AQA or OCR texts. Okay, go with that, and if you can find it in a mark scheme, that's getting it from the horse's mouth, isn't it? Because different sources state different colors. It's really annoying. But Cr3 plus for me is green. Okay, is green. Which topic do people find the hardest? I get most questions about transition metals and organic chemistry. And the reason for that is that that's where you find most of the recall that you have to have. So you have to learn all your colors and your precipitates and your complex formulas, say, okay, in transition metal chemistry, in half equations, loads of them. In organic chemistry, then it's just, again, volume, isn't it? But I've got an awesome cheat sheet for you guys to use within the course. It's, you know, it's like a foolproof way of learning all those different interactions and changes between functional groups and stuff like that. So does heat reflux matter so much for CIE A-levels organic? I don't know about CIE, but reflux is very important. The process of reflux is examined a lot. That's all I can say. King Issy, help on NMR. Oh, rate determining step, Leo. Okay, I'll come back to that. NMR, yeah, that's tough. Okay, it just takes practice. And again, with the revision kit, I talk you through all the NMR questions, okay, how it all works. You have to really use that in context. It's one of those things, you know, when you get a new app or something on your phone, somebody can tell you how to do it, okay, but then you look at the app and try to use it for the first time. the best way to do it is actually just have a poke around in there and figure it out for yourself, and not figure it out for yourself, but with NMR, take the advice, but it's when you start applying it and start using NMR, that's when it really, really clicks. So try and sketch NMR spectra for a molecule, as opposed to trying to make a molecule from an NMR spectra. Okay, that really, really helps. So rate determining step, all I will say is you've got your rate equation. Anything in the rate equation has to be in your rate determining step. So if you've got, I don't know, H plus and H2O2, okay? Both of those have to be in the rate determining step. If they're first order, one molecule is going to be in your rate determining step. If something's second order in your rate equation, there are two molecules of that involved in the rate determining step. Not many people get taught that. Okay, if it's first order, you've got one molecule of that in your rate determining step. If it's second order, you've got two in your rate determining step. So that's my biggest tip for that one. Shown from the graphs, like whether to use tangent to find rate or reading from the graph. Yeah, so it's about you have to use a tangent. You have to use a tangent. It depends on the graph, whether you've got a rate versus concentration graph or a rate versus time graph. Rate versus time graph and rate versus concentration graphs are two very different things, and you need to treat them both separately and differently. Okay, so that's really important. Yeah, Fahad, that's what I was trying to explain before. Easy way of calculating Born-Haber cycle is the enthalpy change of formation equals the total of all the others. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Absolutely. Integration. I wish I knew. I don't know the first thing about integration. You have to speak to Ronnie about that. Yeah, acids and bases. Well, you say there are so many different calculations, Guardian, but there aren't really. Okay, they just put them in lots of different contexts. It's like mole calculations, yeah, pH equals minus log base 10 of hydrogen ion concentration, and you can invert that. pKa is minus log base 10 of your Ka, okay, and then the expressions in terms of weak acids and stuff, and then you've just got Kw, which is what you need to find the concentration of a strong base. And yeah, you got buffers and stuff thrown in there as well. But you know what? I mean, there's only 3 equations you need to remember for all of the pH stuff you need to do. It's just like I said, they put them in such weird contexts and stuff, and so many different contexts, then you just have to know how to work your way through. It's like I said, mole calcs. Number of moles equals mass over molar mass, and number of moles equals concentration times volume. That's put in all sorts of different contexts and stuff, but there's still only the 2 equations you need to know. Neutralization, preparing buffer, change pH in buffer when acids and bases can dissociate more than, yeah, that's it. So it's just different situations, isn't it? Do a video on back-to-back titration, sorry, a step-by-step video on how to tackle back titration questions and percentage by mass calculations. Not in the revision kit. I go through typical ones in the course and the ultimate guide, but obviously in the revision kit, we're just using the new spec past papers, and all we've got access to are the new spec questions. So unless they've done one, it's not going to be in the revision kit, because the revision kit teaches you, or helps you go through the questions that they've already put out, okay, either in a specimen paper, the 2017, and soon the 2018, which are out the 4th of May, which I mentioned before. AQA, do you need to know electron spray or electron gun ionization? I would say be aware of both, but I'm pretty sure in the new spec, you don't need to know electron spray. I've just been kind of doing some digging on that. I'm pretty sure it's just electron gun that you need to be aware of. They'll never ask you to compare them. They're definitely not going into that much detail, but I would be aware of them. That's my answer to that one. Do a diagram of apparatus distillation and reflux. Yeah, you can go into too much detail. Usually they're only 2-3 marks tops, okay? But the main thing is simple as possible, but make sure it works. So make sure there is a gap where there needs to be a gap, like in the top of reflux, and make sure there's no gap where there shouldn't be a gap, okay? It has to be functional, but you don't have to go into too much detail. And I've gone into that in the course, okay? So I've done tutorials on distillation technique and reflux technique, and I go through the diagrams there as well in the Ultimate Guide course. Okay, so what else have we got here? Okay, so Fatma, Can we explain how to use a revision guide? Yes, I know you spoke to Rich, didn't you, Fatma? And that is the main reason why I'm here today. I just thought I'd field a few questions to start. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to poke through the revision kit and show people how best to use that, because it's a really awesome tool to really focus your revision. I mean, we've not got long now, right, before the exams start. If you're AS, it's in a couple of weeks. If you're A2, then it's in 5 weeks or something like that. It really starts to kick off. But you know what? There's definitely time to improve. Okay, we're just going to be doing a series of web classes over the next couple of weeks to say, you know what, you can increase your grade by 1 at least in a month if you follow these techniques. And I'm going to show you how to do that with our revision kit in a minute. So just looking at a couple of questions. I've got a scholarship. Could you add chemistry so I can use it for NMR? Kingisi, if you contact Travis at the office@taylortutors.co.uk, then just have a chat with Travis, okay? Steam distillation, don't worry about steam distillation. We don't need to know anything about that. Isomerism in transition elements, how to determine the type of isomerism. Well, you get cis-trans isomerism with like cisplatin, okay? So where they're square planar, and just treat cis-trans, it's the same as EZ isomerism, okay? And when you've got octahedral complexes where you've got 3 bidentate ligands around it, you can get optical isomerism as well. And again, if you know about it in organic chemistry, you're just drawing the mirror images, aren't you? If you draw one complex, say you got a Cu2 plus with 3 oxalate ions around it, 3 bidentate ligands forming 6 coordinate bonds, draw one and then literally just draw a mirror image of it, okay? And you can't go wrong. That's how you do it. Do you have to learn the Arrhenius equation? No, Leo. No, do not learn the Arrhenius equation. They take great pleasure in providing it in very different formats in the exams that I've seen, but they always give it to you. But the question, I think I've seen one question on the Arrhenius equation that is not calculate the activation energy from the graph. All right, so you've had to draw the graph, you know, kind of like ln k against 1 over t or whatever it is. And then you find the gradient, times it by r, and you get the EA. So 9 times out of 10, that's what they're asking in all the exam boards in terms of Arrhenius. Don't panic about it, because 9 times out of 10, they're just asking you how to calculate activation energy from the graph. And maybe you have to plot the graph and do a line. That's it, okay? Honestly, do not stress about that. 2018 papers are out, are they? Well, we are bringing out that 2018 part of our revision kit on Saturday. So May the 4th, that's when we're releasing all the 2018 papers and walkthroughs and guides and exam reports and stuff like that. That's our take on them, okay? So, okay, so the AQAs are out. Okay, well, I read that they were being released on the 4th of May, but there we go. We are doing some exam predictions over the next couple of weeks as well, folks. So live on YouTube, we are doing some exam predictions. Both Rich, Ronnie, and I are basically going to give our informed opinion as to what to expect on the 2019 papers. Now, of course, they are going to be a certain, there's a huge element of guesswork in there. I mean, is something that's been in the last 2 papers more or less likely to be in the next one? Maybe they put it in every year. Maybe if they haven't put something in, it very rarely comes in. So maybe not to expect that. So there is guesswork, but it is our predictions coming up for coming up next week. Sham is for A levels. Okay, we are looking. We're looking at A-level chemistry. Is it possible to get an E, AS mocks, and an A in AS? Well, if you got that in January, I would say yes. Okay, if you got an E in January, and you know, if you've been subscribing with us and you've been letting me help you work you through it, then yeah. But if you're going from an E to an A in the next 2 weeks, I think you might struggle with that, in all honesty. But you know what? It's about learning how to revise. I mean, you obviously got next year as well. Maybe you're taking it on into A2. Learn your lessons, maybe try our revision kit. And speaking of which, I'm going to go into that, okay? Optical isomerism is in the AQA spec, absolutely 100%, okay? Ludden, last question. I would say that in terms of conditions in organic chemistry, you can get away with heat, okay? Because what they tend to say is just heat/reflux in mark schemes. But if in doubt, say reflux, they'll accept either, as long as it's not specifically distillation. So if you're maybe trying to make an aldehyde, or maybe it's a sterification reaction, distillation is needed for that. So you need to specify distillation for those, but others, yeah, I would say get away with it. Okay. So I haven't got time yet, Tris, sorry. I'm going to show you, okay, what we can do with our revision kit, because obviously it's revision time. Everyone's got their head in the book or their head in the past paper. And you know what? It's about, we haven't got many to use, and we want to make sure that we use them efficiently and effectively. Okay, efficiently and effectively. And that's what it's all about, because nobody wants to waste their time when they're revising, okay? Because there's certain things that work and there's certain things that don't. So let me just give you a quick tour as to how, yeah, who's got the free trial? Is that you, Rich? Yeah, and how to avoid making silly mistakes under pressure. That's it. But if you give yourself more experience, I mean, of doing past papers in exam timed conditions, maybe do paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, maybe 2 on one day and the third one on the next day, you know, put yourself in that position under time conditions. It won't be alien to you. You want to have a full run through before the exam at least. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat. But I'm just going to talk you through how our revision kit can help you make the most of your revision. Okay, so let's do share screen. Okay, so what you guys should be seeing is our revision kit. Okay, so if you signed up to our revision kit, this is the kind of thing that you would see. Now, in this revision kit, what we've got is, let me show you in order. So we got our past papers in here. Okay, we've also got past papers by topic. So depending on whether you subscribe to AQA, OCR, or EdXL, then obviously you get the right one there. And this is where we've curated all of the past paper questions for the new spec, all 3 exam boards for you. So if it's not relevant to AQA, maybe it's kind of like, how can I put it, like entropies of surroundings and stuff like that people in EdXL need to know, but nobody else does. We've taken those out, but left in all the relevant EdXL questions for you. Here, Revise with Rich. This is awesome. People love this. Okay, Rich, Ronnie, and I basically sit down and revise with you for 45 minutes every day, an action hour every day. And we've got our exam technique course. Okay, so the thing is, when you're first starting out to revise, if you're really not sure how to do it, if no one's actually taught you it before, we've gone through revision technique. Okay, all these things that you maybe have questions about. How do you stop procrastinating, for example? Things that students don't do, but you should. Things that students do, but you shouldn't as well. So things, you know, revision techniques that don't work, so you know how to target certain areas, and you know, all this fast learning down here. Okay, focus, association, repetition, summarizing, teaching, testing. You know, if you follow that trend, okay, if you get yourself a pattern of work following that trend, then it really, really helps. It's about drawing information out of your brain as opposed to try and cram stuff in. Okay, and down here, ideas for action hours. Action hours are awesome. It's a bit like the Pomodoro technique, but I think you get a bit more out of it this way. 45 minutes, solid, focused work with a set task, which you are going to achieve in that 45 minutes. Okay, time yourself, get rid of all the distractions, and then at the end of the 45 minutes, stop. Even if you're not finished doing what you're doing, you stop and you take a 15-minute break. But these are all different ideas for you guys to have in terms of action hours. And then we've got, if you obviously, you know, you've got the biology one or the maths one, that's going to be different. But here we've got the exam technique, you know, basically top tips from me in terms of chemistry exam in particular. So don't forget, guys, if you've got any questions, just chuck them in the chat for me. So that's our exam technique section. I mean, you probably go through that once, okay, just to get, you know, make notes, get ideas about what to do and what not to do. Okay. So how do we best use this? Okay, well, the first thing you should do is a past paper. So in here, we've got all the past papers. Okay, so all the AQA ones, where are we? All the OCR and all the EdXL papers. Now on Saturday, the 4th of May, all the 2018 papers are also going to be in there. So what you should do, here we go through how to use past papers. Now, the first thing you should do, if you haven't done it already, is take a past paper, whether it's paper 1, paper 2, or paper 3 for chem. Okay, you should do it for all 3, and you sit down and you time yourself and you do it. Okay, you time yourself and you do it in exam conditions. And then what you need to do is mark it and annotate it. And these videos here, they show you how to do that. So for every question, okay, if you're marking a question, and the mark schemes are ridiculous sometimes, right? I mean, they're just like in a different language sometimes. What we've done here is in each one, let's just pick this first question here. As it loads up, there we go. So we got a question analysis. So if you're not sure how to attack a question, I go through it just to give you a few hints and tips as to what the question's about. Here is me doing the question, okay? Honestly, you know, I'm not copying the mark scheme. I'm just having to go to the question myself. There are errors in some of these, not many, mind, but there are, because you know what? It just shows how easy it is to kind of slip up on little things. But one of the really helpful things here, and what students are saying, is the mark scheme, because this here is where live, okay, well, I'll say live, but you know, recorded, I'm going through my answer and checking the mark scheme. What will they accept? What won't they accept? What keywords are really important? And if I've got something wrong, or maybe I didn't use a keyword, I'm annotating that paper and writing out, you know, what I should remember for future. I keep a little book, a little log of things and the different topics, things I need to remember that I didn't do this time, but I want to make sure I do next time. And then before you do the next paper, okay, before you have a go at it again, then what you need to do is just have a quick read of that. Oh, I must make sure to mention electrostatic attractions when it comes to ionic bonding and stuff like that, okay? Do we have past paper questions divvied by topic? Guardian, do we have past paper questions divvied by topic? Yes, we do, and I'll show you in a second. So in terms of best way to use this, do a paper, mark it, annotate it, and then you'll be able to clearly see where your areas of weakness are, okay? And where your area of weakness is. Let's say you've done a paper 1 and you're thinking, oh, you know what? I'm a bit pup at like the enthalpy stuff. Okay, so Born-Haber, I really need to kind of bone up on Born-Haber stuff. What you can do, if we go back, is actually go back to one of two things. You can go to the Ultimate Guide and have a look at the videos and make notes and maybe, you know, learn some extra content. Maybe there's gaps in your content knowledge and stuff like that. So if there's gaps in your content, go to the Ultimate Guide and just review the videos there and just make sure there are no gaps in your knowledge. If it's an error in terms of exam technique, if it's something whereby it's maybe answering the questions or getting into the question, accessing the question, shall we say, then that's going to be more of an exam technique thing. And when it comes to that, what we can do is go into revise by topic. Okay. Oh, cheat sheet. I'll show you the cheat sheet. Don't worry before we go, the organic one. So to answer Gefmi's question, we have got all of the A-level, so just A-level, not AS, but A-level papers. And what we've done here is we've put every single question. You can see these are EdXL, AQA, EdXL, OCR. So all these are atomic structure and periodic table questions. In the main part, they do like mixing up topics and things like that. So you know what, if you want to practice your periodicity, then you come here. If you want to know about transition metals and the types of questions they ask, then you come here. And again, what we've done is we have curated these questions. So this is the AQA one. All these OCR and EdXL questions are relevant to AQA. Okay, and you can see actually there's not many transition metal based questions for AQA. But all these ones are relevant to you. And we've got the same for EdXL and the same for OCR. Everything in here is 100% relevant, okay? It is not free, the Mad Doc, I'm afraid not. And I'll tell you about that in a second, okay? But actually, the other thing I wanted to show you in here is that there are other types of questions rather than just by topic. Students, and I include you in this, get really hung up on by topic, okay? Don't get hung up by topic. Go on question type as well, because what we've got here is all the organic synthesis questions, okay? Organic analysis and chromatography, loads of multiple choice questions. They're a real mixed bag. But here, big calculations. These are all 5, 6, 7 mark, massive calculation questions on all sorts of things. Acids and bases, buffers and redox and KP and Gibbs and Arrhenius. So these are all the biggest calculation questions. And down here, practical based questions as well. But this is my favorite one, level of response questions. Everybody's got these kind of mark allocations whereby they're marking you and how well you can communicate your answer. Okay, so these are all of the level of response questions from all of the exam boards. Okay, so that's what we've got here. All of those, all of them again, relevant to you. All right, so that's the main part of our revision kit, and that's the best way to use it. Do a paper, find gaps in your knowledge, fix it, do the paper again. And if you do the paper again and you don't get 90%, repeat the process. I would, at this point, for your A-level exams, be doing a full paper, mark it, analyze it, do it again, okay? Or fill in the gaps, then do it again. That's the process. Do the paper, analyze it, fill in the gaps, do it again. Okay, you don't do it just once, do it again. I promise you it works. When you've got 90% in that paper, move on to the next one. So start with the specimen one, then go to 2017, then go to 2018. Okay, and once you've got 90% in all of those papers, your confidence will be flying high. Because believe me, you will notice similarities between those papers. And then when you get to your exam in the summer, you will notice the similarities there and your confidence will be through the roof. I promise you that. Okay. So, yeah, time management, Ibrahim, that's a very good question. Yeah, time management is absolutely key. But the more you do the papers in the way that I've told you, okay, the better you will get at it. Okay, maybe you're writing too much. Okay, it's about being clear and concise. And my walkthroughs on these questions go through that. The last thing I wanted to show you guys, okay, is this Revise with Rich. Each one of these is a really important aspect of revision. So this is just an action hour. I basically sit down, I say, right, in 45 minutes, I want you to do this. So it could be 3 big calculations from the by topic list. It could be doing a massive glossary on the terms included when you're talking about different types of bonding and stuff like that. So by far, these are the most important aspects and things for you to learn and to do when it comes to action hours. So every week we release 5. Okay, you don't have to do them in order. You can just pick and choose them if you want. So if you're looking for a way to revise something, so enthalpy practicals, then you just click on there and I go through it. Okay, and I sit there for 45 minutes doing some work myself. And then at 45 minutes, there's a timer in the bottom. We say done, and how did you get on? Okay, so these are all for you guys. So last thing I will say is that you can get our ultimate guide. Okay, if you go into our website, you can go and look at the ultimate guide. You can try it for free. Okay, there's a free trial in there. Have a poke around in the ultimate guide. That is for content. But you know what? Right now, it's about revision. You've done all your content, okay? I hope you've done all your content, okay? But now it's time. You're not going to revise all of that between now and the exams. Now is the time to be focusing in on the things you really need to work on. And like I said, going through a past paper, the whole past paper exam conditions, marking it, focus on those areas of weakness, do it again, and repeat the process. I guarantee you will improve. I guarantee you'll improve. And that is how you improve a grade in a really short space of time. Okay, so I'm going to come out of this now. In terms of cost, you can get the revision kit. It's for, you know, what you've got a month, right? Okay, is it worth it for a month? I would say so. Okay, so you can get, if you're an Ultimate Guide subscriber, you can get £20 off it. Okay, which gives it you for £29 a month. Or if you're not an Ultimate Guide subscriber and you just want the revision kit and you just want help with your exams, hang on, let me just stop sharing, exam technique and stuff like that, then it is 50, okay, or 49, okay, 49 for the month. Now, to be fair, I mean, 50 quid, that sounds like a lot of money, but would you pay 50 quid to improve a grade? Yeah, you've got to put in a bit of hard work, but you're going to be doing that anyway over the next month, right? But if all that does is improve your grade by 1, then surely that's worth it, right? And we back this, all of our expertise, okay, all of our years in teaching and tutoring and knowledge of exams and all the thousands of exam papers we've done together cumulatively, all that expert knowledge and everything's gone into this revision kit. So you're getting years and years and years of experience from teachers and tutors and examiners, okay? So that's it. Ibrahim, you know what? I couldn't have put it better myself. Okay. You pay £30 for 1 hour for a tutor. Well, you pay 50 and you get as many hours as you like on this. But don't try and do all the content. It's about focusing on the areas you need to focus on now, isn't it? Okay. You're never going to do it all. There's way too much in there to do over the next month, but you focus on those areas. Now, I did say last thing, I'm going to have to go because I've got my class in 25 minutes. I've got my live web class for my subscribers. So let's just go into this. Where are we? Year 2 AQA. So this is in the ultimate guide, and what I have done is optical isomerism, aromatic chemistry, organic synthesis, cheat sheets. Wakey, eggs and bakey. Okay, so this is everything you need to know for AQA. Aliphatic, and there's a blank one there so you can practice it, and everything you need to know for aromatic all on one sheet. So how you use these, and I'm not going to leave them on screen too long, is you print off loads of blank ones and you try and fill it in. Any gaps, you look, you learn, you revise, you scrap the one you just did, and you start again and do it from scratch. So you print off maybe a dozen blank ones until you can regurgitate everything in there. And then you're able to actually synthesize from, like an alcohol to a carboxylic acid, or in terms of you can go from benzene to phenylamine, okay, in maybe a 1, 2, or 3 step synthesis. So learning those interactions between the functional groups is massively important, okay? We'll be making a list of topics that never came up after we do paper 1. Well, we're going to be talking about predictions, what hasn't come up so far in terms of paper 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing that. So keep an eye out for those. We are doing an email to all our student room. Everyone is in the student room, so we're letting everybody know what's going on there, and in terms of exam predictions and how to improve a grade in a month and so on and so forth. But you know what? Yeah. We made this, okay, and yep, you do have to pay for it. But what we're here to do is show you how to revise, because so many schools and colleges don't help you do that. They go, there's all the stuff, good luck. All right, so that's what we're here to do. We want to make sure that you get the best grade possible, and that is how you do it, and that's how you use a revision kit, okay? Yep. Fatma, question, sorry, do it again on the same day? I would probably do it the next day. Yeah, do it the next day, okay? Will it be free in the last 2 weeks like last year, Ibrahim? I don't know. Okay. So hopefully you guys have learned something. I mean, if you've got any questions about revision or anything like that, then you know what? I'm going to be here 5 o'clock next Wednesday as well. So if you want to join me then, that's cool. And I'll answer your questions as best I can. In terms of Pierre, last question then. How do you become more concise with answers? Practice. Okay. One sentence per mark. Essentially, that's what I always work on. If it's not worth writing down, if you don't think that sentence is going to get you a mark, don't write it. Okay. Guardian, how do you remember all the content? Well, that's it. The majority of your content you already know. Sit down, do a whole paper, see where those gaps are. Okay. And like I said, you fill those gaps, maybe the next day you try the paper again. Okay. I promise you it works. I promise you. Do they, Ibrahim? I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, they're still finding their feet with this new spec. That's all I'll say. Okay. But right, I got to go because I got 20 minutes before my live web class. Those of you that are Ultimate Guide subscribers, if you've already registered, then I'll make sure you get your reply and your link to join me in the live web class where we'll be going over enthalpy and entropy classic questions there. So I will see you guys in 20 minutes, and the rest of you, if you're not Ultimate Guide subscribers and you're not joining me in 20 minutes, I will see you maybe next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Okay. And like I said, if you've got any questions about revision or anything like that, happy to help at that point. All right. See you guys.